Hello, everyone, and let me see if I have muted over here. I'm muted. Hello, everyone. This is a DroneNation episode, February 8th, 2021. We're calling this episode the Super Bowl drones tonight because the Super Bowl was just yesterday, and we found out, who the greatest of all time was yesterday with Tom Brady winning his seventh Super Bowl, his fifth MVP. But we're gonna. We found out, who the I'm sure I have it muted. Tom Brady winning his seventh Super Bowl, his fifth MVP. Hold on. Where that's coming from, Mark? Is that you, the echo?
No, I'm muted.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I only have one.
You know what, Ron? I had a second window open and it was on there. I apologize.
Sorry for our technical difficulties. We're not the best produced show on YouTube, but anyways, I was saying we're going to be the Super Bowl drones tonight, and we're voting right now for the. We know who the greatest quarterback of all time, but we don't know what the greatest drone of all time is. So over the DroneNation page, there's a poll right now where you can get in a vote. We have a lot of popular drones listed. If you don't see your favorite drone of all time, you can enter it in and vote for it if you don't see it already. But I hear right now the Air 2 is doing pretty well. But get over there because the polls are closing at 9:30. And our voting expert, Johnny Droneflyer, is monitoring all the votes coming in right now to make sure everything's fair. And he's going to be here. He's going to join us about mid-show with the results. And we have Bill, the drone reviewer, is going to join us in just a few minutes and give us an on-site report of the Super Bowl yesterday in Tampa Bay. Bill lives down there. He's got the vibe of the city, and he's going to give us the inside scoop that only somebody local could give us. But we got a lot of good stories to cover tonight. But right now, I'm going to throw it over to my MVP, Marcus from Idaho Quadcopters. Marcus said, "You're the MVP of this show."
By God, Ron, you're a good friend. I appreciate it. What I need is a haircut, really. But
well, an MVP should have a good haircut.
I haven't had hair this long since I was in my 20s. Hey, I got to go out and fly today. We had a blue sky day today, and I had a fully charged battery on the ZLLRC SG906 Max Beast 3. Now there's a name for a drone.
Who makes these names up?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It was I did a waypoint mission with it. It's essentially a toy drone, but every day is a good day when you get out there and fly. I ran into a guy out there at Heroes Park that watches my channel, and he recognized me. So we shot the breeze real quick, and he had his Mavic Air 2 out there, and new flyer, and he was just tickled to death with that thing. So we had a kind of a fun conversation.
Good to know. So you've made a video. That'll be a video you'll be posting sometime later in the week.
Yeah, so I got all the raw video. I'll have to edit it up, and we'll get that one up. Today, Ron, I posted a kind of a how-to video on the Mavic Air 2 on all of the various aspects of return to home. I mean, you think about return to home. Oh, you just push the button and the drone comes back, but there's a number of things that you can do with it that are helpful. You can custom change the spot. You can have it return to your controller. You can have it return to where it took off, and it changes by how far the drone is away from you as well. So it's always kind of fun experimenting around with that stuff and putting those kind of videos together.
Not your father's return to home anymore. It's like smart return to home.
There you go.
So, hey, listen, we got an action-packed show tonight, so we're gonna bring Bill in here. But I want to make a quick announcement before I bring Bill in. Matt Conduff asked me to reach out to anybody who's going to the Great Florida Drone Meetup in Sebastian, Florida, on March 20th. He's gonna try to make reservations at a local restaurant called Mulligan's for dinner afterwards. So he's trying to get an idea of who's interested and how many people they would be bringing. So if you have any interest in this, going to Mulligan's afterwards, get up with Maddie. I asked him, I didn't see back what's the best way to get a hold of him. But Matt, if you're in the chat, just let everybody know the best way to get a hold of you as far as these reservations for Mulligan's. So maybe we'll have Maddie on next week so he can explain it in detail. So anyhow, with no further ado, all the way from the home of the Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, here's our own personal Tom Brady, the greatest of all time drone reviewers.
Where is he? I want his jersey. Okay. Remember what happened at that one Super Bowl? His jersey got stolen. Okay. Never mind. We're not going to go there. I tell you what, this town was electric. I mean, it is. This is the first time I've ever been in a town while a Super Bowl has been undergoing. And let me tell you this, every hotel was booked. I mean, even like where we live like 10 miles outside of the city. Everything was booked around here. Okay. The other thing was you didn't even think about going out to eat. I mean, it was just all the restaurants were packed. Well, and with COVID-19 and seating and everything, was problematic even without this. Okay. And it was just next to impossible. Okay. It was just now. And the other thing was this, and Ron, if you could let me share my screen for a minute, I want to try to give people an idea of something as far as drones are concerned.
Yes, go right ahead. Let's see here. You have it up yet?
Doing that right now.
I'm never good at this.
Okay.
I see it. I see it. Okay, here we go.
And action.
No, I still didn't get it. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
This is a satellite map, and I want to give you guys an idea of, especially like the no-fly zone that they instituted for drones here in Tampa. Now, this is right where the airport is, and right next, I mean, literally right across from where the airport is Raymond James Stadium. Okay. Now, down here is MacDill Air Force Base. All right. And here, just to give you a reference, this is roughly where I live here in Tampa. Okay. Now, this no-fly zone, okay, which was real interesting, it extended all the way down to where this is like downtown Tampa is like right around here-ish, okay, on the bay. It extended from the stadium all the way down here. Now, this was the best map I could find where I could get everything in on one map. And that's probably, and the radius of this was like about, I think they said it was around almost 20 miles around the city as far as a TFR was concerned. So, and it barely, I mean, I was barely okay from where we're at down here. Now we could see literally, here's MacDill Air Force Base. When you're down along the coast down here, you can literally see across the bay and you could see the Air Force Base over there. So you don't want to fly too far into the bay down there, or you're going to have issues. But right where the stadium was, okay, down to here, that's probably a good 6-7 plus miles. Like I said, the radius was about 20 where you couldn't fly at all. Now, and that includes, there's a river walk down in Tampa, right around this area. It's a wonderful place to go. And a lot of guys, that's very scenic. And a lot of guys will go down there and film you take their drones down there and get some great shots of the city of Tampa. I mean, it's very scenic, very picturesque, but that was a no-go. And I've kept my ears to the ground, and there was absolutely nothing in terms of, I checked news reports and things. There was nothing that went on as far as people taking up their drones were concerned. So that was definitely some good news as far as that was concerned. The other thing was, which was real interesting, you probably saw the 3 Air Force. I don't know if you guys watched it or not, but they had the flyover. They had a B-1, a B-2, and a B-52 do a flyover over the stadium down there. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, they did not come from MacDill, our Air Force Base, because none of them housed any of those planes. Okay. So they were aloft for a long time. And what happened was with part of that is you could literally hear a lot of air activity. I mean, up in the air. I mean, it was because, like I said, we're literally about 5-6 miles, but you can hear. I mean, because it's the resonance of the water and everything. There was a lot of activity up there. Plus, as I was sharing with Ron and Marcus before the show, Saturday I went out to try to fly one of my drones. There were not hundreds, there were thousands of birds landing in our lake, literally. I mean, I'd never seen that. I mean, in the 6 years we've been here, I've never seen that many birds on the lake before. And I was taking my Mini up, and I'm like, I got to come back right away because there's just way too many birds up there. So there was a lot of patrols that were flying, and I'm talking like you can tell the difference between like a normal helicopter and a Army helicopter or an Air Force helicopter. That whoop, 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 whoop. You could tell. I mean, they were up in the air, so the security was pretty tight down here. That's one thing I can definitely say. And as far as driving was concerned, I didn't even want to approach getting anywhere near to downtown Tampa. Wasn't even thinking about it at this point. But that's that was kind of the skinny. I'm not sure. I think it's still in effect until tomorrow. So that no-fly zone, you can't even think about doing it today either, because I know there's a lot of people who may have stayed over after the Super Bowl that wanted to go ahead and get, bring their drone with them, get some shots. Can't do this. Here's an interesting side note. Okay. A lot of the people that were in attendance yesterday were healthcare workers from one of the larger hospitals here in town. Okay. They were able to get tickets by putting their names in for a lottery, and almost everybody who put their name in got them. There was only actually 22,000 there yesterday, and you probably saw the cardboard cutouts of the other people.
You could send your picture and they'd make a cardboard cutout and put you there.
For $100, they would let you do that, and then your name gets entered into a drawing, so you could win a chance to win tickets to the Super Bowl next year in Los Angeles. So, But I mean, the town was electric. It was a lot of fun being here because this is, like I said, this is the first time I've ever been in town while a Super Bowl was actually going. It was pretty electric around here. But one of the things I have to say is this: I didn't see anything on the news about people being stupid. Okay, because I was expecting it. I mean, give an inch, take a mile. I think about. And I don't know if you guys remember at the Red Sox game, okay, right where the Green Monster is up in Boston, there was some flying a Phantom 4. You could tell it was just, up in the outfield, and just, I'm like, it's just like I want to shake my head every time I see stuff like that.
Right.
Give it
a bad name. Yep.
Yeah, but it was good. It was really good. And as far as I could tell, people were good around here. Of course, we may see something pop up in the news a day or two from now, but that's it.
Bill, I got a question. So, is it true that the rumor I heard that that guy that was streaking in the field was your next door neighbor?
Yeah, it was. I hate to say that.
Hey, I know everybody was good about not flying drones, but Bill, I wish they would have got rid of that halftime show and hired you to fly your drone around the stadium during halftime. That would have been more entertaining for me.
Okay, they could have had me on doing karaoke, and it would have been better. Okay, and that would have. And you're pretty bad with you're asking me to come on and do karaoke. Okay, because it's like everybody I saw. It's like what was that? Okay, that was the reaction from most of the people that I talked to, what they thought about the halftime, and I'm like, yeah, what was that? That was my question as well. It was nothing, and as far as the game is concerned, all right, just my 2 cents as far as that's concerned. It's like I was expecting it to be last man standing is going to win the game, okay? Because I thought it was going to be an offensive firepower 45-38 kind of game, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it was one-sided. And I know a lot of people said, well, Chief Chiefs got called for a lot of penalties. And I said, well, you know what? Yeah, they did. But you know what? I'm sorry. I mean, it was just Tampa's defense was just – see, that was the one thing that – the offense was great. Don't get me wrong. But their defense won the game for them. I mean, they just –
remind you of the old steel curtain defenses of the 70s?
Mm-hmm. It really did. They just shut them down.
Marcus, you have
well, I do. Lauren just he put the link in the chat. Evidently, there were 70 drone intrusions on Super Bowl throughout the 70 Super Bowl drone intrusions.
Holy cow. See, wow, Lauren, that's great.
But we can't confirm none of them were Bill.
Yeah.
Wasn't me.
Yeah. So there really are some dumbasses out there, aren't there?
Unfortunately, it looks like that. I mean,
what the hell?
Well, see, I didn't look on Drone DJ. I was looking locally because I figured, our local stations pick up any of that kind of stuff. I didn't see anything locally, but wow.
But to your point, Bill, I suspect when they're talking about drone intrusions, you said it was a huge radius, right?
Yeah.
And it was over a period of days, right?
Yeah, like it was at least they shut down that area that I showed you that was like toward downtown Tampa. They shut that down 5 days before the Super Bowl. So you couldn't even fly there like last Monday, you couldn't fly.
I can imagine somebody with a toy drone, like some of these drones that I review on my channel, the SG 906 or whatever. It wouldn't tell you if you were in a no-fly zone or not, right? So if you were somebody that didn't know and you're at the city park and you're putting your drone up, I wonder if that's what a lot of those 70 were.
You're probably right. I mean,
how many telos were in that on that 70?
Yeah.
Or you're flying the wonderful FEMI X8 SE 2020, or
you're
flying an Evo with no, you have no clue. You have no idea about that kind of stuff. That's a good point, Marcus, because a lot of people may have been ignorant of that too.
Yeah, that's it. They're not a football fan. They don't, don't look at their news or right.
Yeah. So anyhow, we'll try to link that story if anybody wants to, get into that. But I mean, at least Bill's main point, we didn't see any around the stadium or anything interfering with the game. Just that streaker. Yeah,
just that. Yeah, and that was enough. Oh, well, it was funny. I saw a commentator say, why do they always have to cut away from it? And I'm just like, seriously.
Yeah, well, because if they let that guy get his, what do you call it, his 15 minutes of fame, everybody would be doing
Everybody's going to want to do that. I'm like, come on. I said, that's just, you don't even think twice about cutting away from something like that. I mean, I know they noticed they went right away. They went to commercials. Well, it's like the other thing too. A lot of my friends said, the commercials were meh this year. There wasn't anything that really kind of stood out and said, wow. I mean, that's just, that was one of those things that really grabbed. I mean, they're now, they used to be, I think it was $500,000. They're like $5 million for like a 60-second spot now. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I mean, DroneNation is going to advertise during the Super Bowl, but it just wasn't in the budget this year.
Hey guys, I just want to add one thing. So Place It Here also put another link to another article in the chat, and it's saying that the FAA placed a 30 nautical mile radius around the stadium up to 18,000 feet in altitude for a temporary flight restriction. So that is amazing. And also, they're making another good point here. They're saying drone pilots should check the Before You Fly app, which you should. As you guys know, I use it. I'm sure you guys use it as well.
I usually use two apps. I may use Before You Fly, and then I may use Air Map. I usually check two apps if I'm in a straight
fractional chart.
Or I think that could be a TFR effect. Like at the Jersey Shore, we have an air show every year in the end of August, so you check for that. And then I think 2 times in the last 4 years, President Trump was in the area, and they were TFRs for when he was local too. So I always double check 2 apps.
So let's think about a 30-mile radius, and there's some guy out on the edge of that radius that takes his, like Bill said, his little Femi X8 SE up in the air that, he thinks, man, that stadium's way away from me. I'm not anywhere near it. Puts his drone in the air. I'm willing to bet that a lot of those are those kind of incidents.
Yeah. What's interesting is I was able to get up in the air on Saturday, because if it's a 30-mile radius, it would hit me, okay, where I live, because I'm like, and I figure this, okay, I think doomsday scenario all the time, okay. MacDill Air Force Base is about 7.5 miles away from me. So if a nuke hits it, you can kiss Bill the Drone Reviewer and Valerie goodbye. Okay, we'll be gone. We'll be glowing for eternity. Okay. But so it's like we're about 7.5 miles from MacDill. So, and that's probably about a 10 mile, at least 10, 15, 20 miles from the stadium itself. So, with that kind of a thing, if it's 30, it would have hit us. I was able to I didn't get any warnings on Saturday when I took off. The only thing that I noticed on Saturday, which was real interesting, I downloaded, I hate this. Okay. Was forced to do a security update to my phone, to my Galaxy Note 10. I hate doing that. I had to do that before I flew. And then all of a sudden it's like, my screen recorder, as soon as I took off, it just died.
Right.
Okay? I had no screen recorder when I took off after that, because I was going to do, because what I'm in the process of doing, and I wanted to show you guys this. I got landing gear. For the
I think I have the same skid. Yep.
I got, and what was real interesting was, because it was so windy, okay, I came back to the house, and apparently the wind was kind of, the wind actually did something, and it hit the gimbal moved. You could tell that. And you were getting the front skid, like when I was landing, because I changed the gimbal. Okay. You could see the front skid. Okay. When I was landing, when it was coming down, you could see it. It was clear as a bell. Now I got the same skids. I got the same ones, the same brand. I got them off of Amazon. The same ones for the Mavic Air too. And what's real interesting was on the back here, okay, I kind of thought, all right, you see this area right here, okay? I thought that was going to be like where these were, where the sensors were, okay? I didn't figure it was going to be up here. So I was trying to get it on back, and it wasn't going on. So I flipped it around, and then it got on. Now these actually fold up. So and they'll fold into there, and they'll lock in place. And I had to use a butter knife to actually get them out to where they're working. Now they'll click in place. So
yeah, Russ at 51 Drones just put those as one of his best accessories for the Mini, something like that.
Yeah, I did a review on those, but the ones I have are for the Air too. I did a review, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago on those for the Air too. And I have a different skid for the Mini. It doesn't fold up. It's kind of a cheaper quality and just snaps on. But
yeah, I got them on Amazon, and they're both the same brand. The packaging is the same for both that and for the Air too. So it's like.
And if you don't own the Mini, if you out there, somebody doesn't own a Mini or Mini 2, it's the lowest sitting drone in the business. So you really need that skid unless you have a landing pad. Even that gimbal does its calibration test and whatever. If you don't have a completely flat ground, it can hit the ground.
Yeah. And that's why it surprised me, because I was getting high wind warning and all that stuff on Saturday, but I was kind of like ignorant of that. But I tilted that gimbal down, and then sure enough, you could catch the skid right in there. Now I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna retest this. I got to go out and do a full-on test. But I'm hoping that it was because of the wind that I was seeing the skid in there. That's the only thing that I can think of, because it was a pretty windy day. I got a high wind warning on top of things. So I just packed it in and came back right away.
Skids on the Air too without seeing them in the video, but again, I don't have the same ones for the Mini. I have different skids for the Mini.
Yeah, but you know what? And I'll tell you what, it was from day one. And you know what? I'll say this: I started getting into having gear on. I watched Rick Smith when I first started in drones, okay, on my Mavic Pro, on my original Mavic Pro. You know, he said he was adamant that you need to get these. And he said, for the reason you just stated, Ron, so that gimbal doesn't get in the dirt. So you don't get, he said, that's the number one thing you want to keep away from dirt and debris is that gimbal. He says, you get dirt and debris in there. He said, you're going to cause all kinds of issues. So that's when right away I went out on Amazon and I bought some gear for my Mavic Pro. I mean, that's one of the things I do all the time.
The gimbal is the camera, because once you get dirt inside the camera lens, you could see that dirt spot on every flight.
Yeah, it's not going to go away unless you know how to take that apart and put it back together again. No thanks on that end. I'll tell you that right now.
Right, right. Hey, listen, before we bring Johnny in, for this, the voting on the greatest of all time, and Bill's going to weigh in too on what drone he thinks. Bill and Marcus are going to weigh in what drones they personally think are the greatest drones of all time. Let's cover a story or two first. Our good friend Barry Markowitz, all of us are good friends with Barry. He lives out in the Hawaiian Islands. He's a kind of a news guy, reporter out there, very knowledgeable guy. Marcus, I had the pleasure of meeting at Spin Up 2019. But Barry watches the show, and maybe a week or two ago, Marcus reported a story about the national parks. He watched two vloggers that were told they were not allowed to film in a national park if it was going to be, used professionally in a business. And, it was, kind of a disturbing story, since national parks are funded by us, the taxpayers, and those people are taxpayers. They're paying to get in the park, but Barry sent us a link to a video, and I'll drop it later. There's been a court decision. I don't know what part of the court decision was made, but it was made that was null and void. You cannot stop people from filming in a national park unless it's a movie crew.
Well, no, Ron, it's so they found that it was an unconstitutional regulation, and what they said was it doesn't stop movie crews now. So the national parks are going to have to redo that regulation. And I would presume, because if you think about it, it was actually probably, when they made it, it was probably a good regulation, because what you didn't want was a movie crew to come in with 10 trailers and 100 people filming a movie or something in a park without having a permit, right? But what they did with it is they extended it to, if you took your cell phone video or your GoPro video and you put it on your YouTube channel, they considered that making a commercial video or movie, and people got fined a lot of money. Now, why does this affect us with drones? Well, it also applied not only to national parks, but to national forests. Now, we can fly our drones in a national forest, unlike a national park, but the national forest people were also getting in on that and saying, hey, oh no, if you put it on your YouTube channel, then it's a commercial venture, and people were getting huge fines. So that has been overturned by the courts, fortunately, and that's a good news. That's good news. I don't think it was Art is saying it's a Supreme Court decision. It wasn't Supreme Court, Art. It was a lower court, but
I saw like it was a federal. It was definitely federal.
It was a federal court. Art, I'd have to look into it to figure out what it was, but and
I don't have it right now, but I will post a link to the article. Barry says it was a YouTube video.
Yeah, but the good news for us is that it's been overturned, and you can take your cell phone video that you filmed in a national park now, put it on a YouTube channel, and be perfectly legal. So
I mean, what this rule was saying is, I mean, you could get your grandfather's 8mm from the 1960s of him having the kids standing by Old Faithful at Yellowstone Park. He could digitize that, put it on YouTube, and be fine. And he may not even be alive anymore.
And that's true. That's absolutely. But anyway, it was overturned, so all's well.
How can you get any more unconstitutional? And the whole thing is, this isn't a private enterprise. These are federal property funded by our tax money, and you have to pay to get in there. So you're double paying. You're double paying through your taxes. And you're double paying through the fee at the gate.
You stop right there, Rod. Maybe you have to pay to get in there, but as a senior citizen, I don't.
Oh, listen to this.
Wait, no, well, Susan bought a season pass, but it wasn't free. It was greatly reduced, but she bought a season pass.
I got a lifetime pass, Ron. I don't know. It was like $100 or something, but it's for the rest of your life. So cool.
Right. Right. In fact, they instead of them stopping you from filming, they should roll out the red carpet for you, because they wouldn't have jobs there if it wouldn't be for your tax money and the money you're paying at the gate, right?
Well, let me take it a step further. What I feel like, it's just absurd that you can never fly a drone in a national park. Now, I completely understand why they don't want it uncontrolled and people flying drones. Totally understand that. You'd have drones buzzing around Old Faithful and all kinds of things. You don't want that. But we should be able to get a permit to fly at a certain time of day or in a certain location under certain circumstances.
Or even like a lot of places, you fly with a kind of a guided tour with the ranger there.
Exactly right. There should be a way to do that, and there are ways that if you're a movie crew or something, you can get.
Yeah, I mean, I did read in my Part 107 study that you can request a waiver for a national park. They didn't say you were going to get it, but you are allowed to request a waiver.
The point of it is, just as a regular guy, you're not going to get a waiver. You're just not going to. They don't give them out. So anyway, that's a whole different subject.
We just wanted to follow up on that story. Thanks, Barry, for helping contribute this and watching the show. But okay, we want to run just another story by you. Then we're going to bring Johnny in here with these results. So anybody who hasn't voted yet in the polls, get over to the DroneNation Facebook page. And sorry, we're doing it on Facebook and not YouTube, because we don't have 1,000 subscribers, so we're not allowed to put a poll on the DroneNation YouTube channel. So if you have a problem with that, make sure we get over 1,000. We will move the polls over here. So I'm going to put it on everybody who's going to criticize us for not doing it on YouTube, to make sure that you do everything to advertise our channel to get to that.
Right.
But okay, I'm going to get off my high horse and back to the news here. Now, Marcus contributed this story for tonight's show. I've seen this listed in all the drone groups on YouTube. A video was found recently in Iceland by a woman called Rebecca Bunting, and she got a memory card out of the drone. And I'm going to throw it to Marcus to finish the story here.
Well, I'm putting up the link to the video right now.
All right, but anyhow, she found. I guess it was. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the video. I guess the spectacular footage from the Mavic Pro 1 of Iceland, and I'll mention Mavic Pro 1s. I know it's got at least one vote for the greatest drone of all time. But I think there was a sad ending to the story, Marcus.
There was. So if you haven't watched that video, I just put the link in the chat. You absolutely need to watch it. That it's an unbelievable story. This woman, they're in Iceland, and this ice cold river. She wades into it because it's completely crystal clear. She can see a drone down there. She picks up this drone, and they were able to recover the files off of the SD card. And I think at that point it was like a couple years old, something, maybe, it would have been around. But the video that they got off of that SD card was phenomenal, and you'll see it in that link. It's just amazing, and it actually shows the guy that was flying the drone, and he had a couple of other people with him, and so what we don't know is if they ever found the owner of that drone. And in fact, they even show the point that the video quits, and so you can see it looked like he hit the side of a canyon wall with it. But there's a sad ending to the story. And Eric Rose is who posted that initially. I want to give Eric credit for that. He posted that on DroneNation. So at the end of the story, you see this memorial. At the end, the girl, her name is Rebecca Bunting is her name, Becca. There was a tribute at the end of the video to her, and evidently she passed away. Well, Sarah watched it with me, and she actually did some research and showed that this woman was an urban explorer. she would explore. She's from Philadelphia. She would explore abandoned places, and she was an amazing photographer. But she evidently got swept away in a creek and drowned, and her life ended early. And man, if that doesn't put a lump in your throat, I don't know what will. I'll put and this is a couple years ago that this happened, but I'll put a link to that article in the chat as well. But it's just interesting because it's just such an amazing story that they found this drone, and then to find out that she passed away later is really sad.
You know, I gotta say this. You know, we had a lot. You know, growing up in Pittsburgh, we had a lot of creeks and stuff around there, and there's a lot of these storm drains that they go through and they go into, and those are places you don't want to mess around with.
So that's what happened, Bill. She fell into a storm drain, and it was a flash flood. Pennybacker Creek, something like that.
Yeah. Well, you know, my dad would tell me stories from when he grew up in Pittsburgh that these storm drains ran under, like for 2 miles long at least before they emptied out into the river. But he said they went underneath the steel mills over where, and it was right where I grew up. And he said, "Don't you even think about going in there. I don't care, sunshine, any time of day, don't even think about it, because if there's a flash flood, you're gone. There's just you won't survive. You won't survive." And that's so sad. I read that. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible.
That's interesting that you had that experience as a child, Bill. That's fascinating. So evidently it's something that some people knew about, but she is pretty famous, I guess, in that world of exploring abandoned places. It was a passion of hers. So anyway,
it's quite a story, almost like a movie or TV show or that nature.
Hey Ron, I got some more news about the Hubsan Zino. Do we have time for that?
Yeah, but real quick before we don't get to it, let's do Michael Wright's thing. I got the link in there already. Sorry to label the link. It's the last link from DroneNation. Michael Wright, he's in the chat with us tonight. He's part of the community, and I think he's going to the Great Florida meetup in March. Well, his son-in-law, he's going to be hosting a 1-hour educational session on the new Mavic Enterprise Advanced drone on February 24th at 1 p.m. I dropped a link to this session if anybody would want to view it. So the link is in there, and you know what? Maybe we'll have Michael come on a show maybe before next couple of weeks before that actually takes it happens, and maybe he can explain to us in a little more detail. So we'll work behind Mike behind the scenes on that. But I've seen one of his son-in-law's videos before, and they are very professionally presentations. So anybody wants to go over check it out. The link's in there. Michael, if you want to drop the link again, I'll go right ahead. He's a moderator, so he can drop the link. Marcus, one more story, then we're going to get to the GOAT.
Yeah, it's time to get to the GOAT, isn't it? But let me, I'm going to ask you for the screen here. Share screen.
All righty.
Tell me when you got it.
Okay, share screen. Let's see here. There we go.
Okay. So are all you guys familiar with EXO drones? They advertise on YouTube, or excuse me, on Facebook all the time, and they rebrand some of the toy drones that we see on Banggood, etc., and they ask literally about triple the price for them that we see. So Brian Singleton pointed this out to me today. So this drone here, does that look familiar to anybody?
I see that.
That is the Zino Pro Plus with the big battery in it and everything. And of course, these guys talk about it like it is the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, look at that. But I'm gonna quickly scroll right down to the bottom here where we get to the price. And so look at the price here for a Hubsan Zino. Only $599 US.
Free shipping?
I don't know if it's free shipping or not. I didn't want to find out. Now I will say that does include 2 batteries. They also have a 4 battery version for $719. Now, you can buy that drone for about $350 on Banggood. And to be fair to the people at EXO, I want to be perfectly fair. My understanding is that I've not had any experience with it, but they do offer customer service. In other words, if you have a problem with your drone or whatever, they have a technical department that will walk you through it, and they do accept returns, etc. But $599 for a Hubsan Zino, even if it's the Pro, whatever, I would definitely recommend the Mavic Air too. So just thought that you folks would find that interesting.
I do see those EXO commercials all the time on my Facebook feed. I had no idea they were a rebrander.
Yeah, so they even sell like a version of that SG 906, Ron, that I fly once in a while and so forth. In fact, Brian Singleton has a video. He posted a video on that EXO version of that one today. And that they asked like $399 for a drone that you can buy on Banggood for $189. So anyway.
But the advantage is these drones are actually in the U.S., so when you order them, you will actually get it that same week, more or less.
You'll get it quickly, and you will. And I have no experience with this company, but my understanding is that they offer customer service as well.
Okay, well, this isn't a story. This is a note here. We covered the C-Fly Faith 2 a little bit the last couple of weeks, and I'm not going to get into it tonight. But Air Photography posted a review of the drone just in the last day or so. He did receive it from C-Fly, and the bad news is the review is it's not good. It's not good news on his experience with the C-Fly Faith 2. And maybe I can reach out to Sean over there. Maybe we can even get him on the show, in next couple weeks to talk about it. And unfortunately, I think he flew it before the camera firmware came out, like the next day the camera firmware came out. And he did download and he showed the settings on there, but he had such a bad experience, he was afraid to take it up again. But he did mention maybe he got 11. So anyhow, well, more on that in the future. Again, I'm going to work with Sean behind the scenes, but it's Air Photography. Maybe we can get him on the show to give us the rundown on it. But with no further ado, all the way from the great state of Louisiana, he's back in the green room now. The strip's almost gone. So we got to bring him in here right now. And I heard a rumor. It's a rumor on the internet that Johnny may, for this great Florida drone event here at March 20th in Sebastian, Florida, Johnny may get on the Harley and drive 750 miles straight through to the drone event.
Well,
there he is.
I don't know about the straight through part, but yes, we all talking about.
I'm building it up, Johnny.
Yeah, no, thank y'all for having me in tonight, Bill. We was on pre-show and you talking about the Super Bowl. I will say, the economic impact of that. We're 40 miles from New Orleans, and when they had the Super Bowl in New Orleans, you can't get a hotel room here. So yeah, the impact of that.
They said, and now they did that like. When I actually went to a Stanley Cup Finals game in Pittsburgh, and they said the economic impact just for one game for that city overnight, they said it was at least between $1.5 to $2.5 million for one night.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible.
Hey, Johnny, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Did you steal that bag of Doritos behind you out of the green room?
Yeah, somebody else asked me about that. No, I'm doing Atkins, so I got pork rinds here.
Okay.
That's my when I get to my
those in the green room.
When I got the shrimp, I tell you, I'm having trouble finding those shrimp. But one day I am gonna find them. But no, hey guys, I want to say, guys, you have an incredible crowd. We got over 50 people in tonight, and so nobody's got the Super Bowl hangover, But yeah, Ron, I was walking today, and I don't know if you saw my Facebook rant, a dog pooped on the sidewalk. But anyway,
I did see that. Yeah.
Right after that, I think Facebook, I was checking and I saw your, goat about, the drone of the best drone ever, or what people would consider. And I thought that was a great idea. And, originally I was thinking, well, you did it. We did it earlier. You did it for November to November. Or you did it for that year. So of course the Mavic Air 2, took the prize. But I got to thinking, as I was walking, because of all the drones you included, I thought it might end up a little different. But if you look at the voting there on the DroneNation Facebook page, the Air 2, has 15 votes, and and then the Mavic 2 Pro brought in 7, and the Zoom has 3. The Pro has 2. The Zino has 2, and the Skydio 1, the Femi 1. So it kind of works its way down. But I thought there was one drone in there. I thought the Zoom might actually get some more votes. So I don't know. What do you think? Marcus, Ron, Bill.
I voted for the Zoom.
How'd the C5 Faith 2 do?
Well, I don't get me. I think, I blew $300. It sounds like, but I may cancel because the Chinese New Year. I got lucky with the Chinese New Year, so maybe I can cancel. I might text Tracy and cancel, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you know what I think should have been on the list that wasn't. You know what the greatest drone of all time was?
What was it?
Anyone that Tom Brady chooses.
Time flies.
But no, I don't know. The Air 2, it seems like, and Ron, are you keeping it's just today as it ending? We had about 35 people vote. Or are you gonna keep it open for a little bit longer, or
we'll keep it open, maybe we can establish like kind of a Super Bowl or whatever. I guess right now the Air 2 would be playing the Mavic 2 Pro in the Super Bowl right now. But
it's the Tom Brady of the drones for the drone of the year and the GOAT. But yeah, it's interesting that people. I'm kind of like Marcus, and I don't have the Zoom, but on our little show we ask about one of your favorite drones, and that seems like that answer's popped up quite a few times. So I was kind of surprised by that.
The one thing that gets me, and I got to say this, okay. Now, my choice was a Mavic 2 Pro, and there's a reason for that, and I think Ron knows where I'm gonna go with this. It's the low light capabilities of the Mavic 2 Pro cannot be beat. Okay, you're not going to get that. As much as I like the Air 2, and I really like it, you're not going to get it in the Air 2. Okay, because I've gone out the same time of day to take the same kind of video with the same settings, it's like 4K 30 or, whatever. And I'm not messing around with anything. Okay. In order for me to duplicate that, I have to take it into, I have DaVinci Resolve. I got to take it in there and I got to tweak that son of a gun. Okay. When with the Mavic 2 Pro, and Ron knows, okay. When we were at the beach together and flying, he got to see right on my screen with my iPad. He got to see it because he's comparing, because he has his Mavic Pro up. And he's looking at the sunset, and then he's looking at mine, and he's like, wow, because I think I sold Ron his drone right there on the spot. It's that, just for me personally, okay, it does everything so good, the Mavic Air 2. It really does, okay? I'm not, but my big thing is this, is, when if you're a hobbyist photographer, let's say, okay, and okay, and the Jedi Master of the Sunsets is Ron Brown, okay. If you want to get those kind of sunsets, okay, and those kind of low light images coming through, okay, there's no choice. It's a Mavic 2 Pro, and that's why that's going to be one of the drones. It's like if somebody asked me if I had to sell the Mavic 2 Pro, the Phantom 4 Pro, I said Phantom 4 Pro is going. Okay, I'm keeping that Mavic 2 Pro because of that capability. It's just off the charts to me.
Yeah, I mean, to Bill's point, not only is it good and low light because of the larger sensor, but you can also bump the iOS higher on it, to compensate for dark scenarios too. So that is a big advantage, for the 2 Pro over the Air 2. And I imagine the Air 2 is winning a lot because of its price. I mean,
I would about say I think more people has it, Ron, in the hands, and I will say that I think Bill Thomas asked about some of the enterprise, and you did say on there that it was just consumer type drones. So yeah,
prize drones, yeah. I'll ask Bill or John, whoever wants to throw it out, like for bang for buck, since you can get an Air 2, not the fly bar kit, but just the Air 2. Is $799 the correct price if you just want the drone?
Yeah. For $799
versus I guess a base. What's a base Mavic 2 Pro now? $14.99.
Yeah, I think it's 14.
Yeah.
I mean, what gives you more bang for the buck?
Oh, easy, Mavic Air 2. I mean, it's like the value that you get. I mean, if a drone for under $1,000, the capabilities that you get with the Mavic Air 2, you can't. It's like go get it now. What are you waiting for? I mean, it's Mavic 2 Pro. Yeah, is a lot of bang for the buck? Yeah, but for the Mavic Air 2, it's under $1,000, guys, and that's the thing right there. Okay, but the big caveat for me is you got to know the limit. The one thing that I try to emphasize a lot is you got to know the limitations of your drone. Okay, you got to know that it's like if I have a sunset out there, what drone am I going to run and grab and go outside with to shoot that sunset? Okay. There's no question for me. Okay. And that's why I got my flight line ready behind me. All I got to do is slap a battery in, grab my controller, and I'm out the door. Okay.
Right.
Let me expand on that a little bit, Bill. So when it comes to the Mavic 2 Pro, there's no question that it has an unbelievable camera on it. The only problem that drone has, in my mind, it would be the greatest drone of all time, in my opinion, if it had a more powerful processor on it. And that is the only thing that's holding that drone back. The 360-degree obstacle avoidance, all the features of that drone. One of the things, I sold my Mavic 2 Zoom, which is obviously the same airframe. One of the things I miss about that drone is just the sheer power and the velvety smooth controls on that guy. So
yeah, I mean, it's even more, and you made a good point with the controls on that, Marcus, because one of the things, as much as I love my Phantom 4 Pro, okay, the maneuverability and the smoothness with that Mavic 2 Pro, so you can't pass that up. I mean, it's just, whether or not I'm using the original controller or the smart controller, doesn't matter, okay? It is still smooth. That thing literally, and this, it boggles my mind because I actually, Rick Smith was in town once and we got to fly together, and flying with him is a real treat. So we're doing that. And, and that's one thing that we talked about while we were together was, I asked him, I said, Rick, I said, you know what? It blows my mind because he understands this from an engineer, because him being an engineer, he gets it and he understands it. Okay. The physics of that. Okay. And to understand what it means, because, not only, are you pulling back on that and you're trying to get your drone to come to a dead stop. All right. You realize that when you're doing that, you're using, you're sending a signal to the drone to do that. And and I told Rick, what blows my mind is it seems like it's almost instantaneous that it does that. And it has enough of that, physics built in it that it literally stops on a dime. The other thing that I can say is this, and I think Marcus has probably experienced it with a Zoom, and Ron may have too, is when you're in position, when the drone's in position, and let's say it's a windy day at the beach or wherever you're at, okay, you can hear that drone, the other, whatever arm it is, you can hear them compensating, and one's revving up, the other one's revving down, to try to maintain that position. And you look to see how windy it was, because I did a wind comparison test between that and a Phantom 4 Pro V2.0, okay? That Mavic 2 Pro in the wind, okay? It was 25, 30 mile an hour wind. That thing looked like it was rock solid when I looked at the video afterwards. It was crazy.
Guys, all of you here now, we some of the obvious things that the Mavic 2 Pro has over, but what about Marcus kind of experts? But I want you all to chime in. Which do you, as far as it comes to kind of like smart features, intelligent flight features, which of those two drones do you think takes the cake as far as having the best intelligent flight modes?
Same answer, Mavic 2 Pro.
Oh, yeah.
And the Mavic Air 2 is great. It's got some really cool features on it. But what I will say is, like all of those intelligent flight modes that are on the Pro and the Zoom, they are that much more robust. Now, the only caveat I'll throw in there is I do love the way the spotlight mode works on the Mavic Air 2 as opposed to the way it works on the Mavic 2s.
Yeah, it's less effort to get it going, which is
that aside, the 360 obstacle avoidance. I'm telling you, if you've got a Mavic 2, it will follow you everywhere that a Skydio will, and it will do it flawlessly. Now, there's one caveat there. It's a little bit older. It's got a little bit slower processor. You can do follow me with the Mavic 2 in both slow mode and high speed mode. If you do it in slow mode, it's flawless. And DJI even tells you that. They'll tell you don't in high speed mode that it could possibly hit something. So they tell you to be careful. But
did you
anyway.
look at Michael Wright's comment? He said he's talking about he was talking to Ray Kelly and about waiting for the Mavic 3. He says, I plan on keeping my Phantom 4 V2 and selling my Mavic 2 Pro when the Mavic Pro 3 is released, which is that's a really interesting comment, Michael. And I really like that. And I'm real curious. I mean, is it that, because the only thing that you get with the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0, you get that mechanical shutter. Now, the mechanical shutter for most of us, okay, being hobbyists, okay, it's really not applicable, okay. That's if you're mapping and doing mapping work, which is real detailed, that mechanical shutter is golden for that, okay. The only other thing with that, it has the 60 frames per second, but that's that's interesting, Michael.
Lauren put a good comment in there. It's 2 years old and everybody wants to still copy that drone,
It's exactly right. Lauren's exactly right. I mean, it's a drone that people want. It's like when you come back to it, it's like we all circle back to the Mavic 2. Okay.
Hey guys, can I pull a Ron Brown here for a second?
Uh-oh.
I want to poll the panel.
Okay.
Who among us plans on buying the Mavic 3 when it comes out?
I don't have 2 yet, so.
Yeah, I want to do another poll here. Okay, from all the drones out except for the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic Air 2, all the other drones are gone. Who are you voting for, Bill?
Oh, Mavic 2 Pro.
Marcus?
Now, hold it. Say that again, Ron. I missed it.
Everybody else out. When the Super Bowl's down, just the Air 2 and the Mavic 2 Pro now. Between those two, who are you voting for?
I probably would still vote for the Mavic Air 2 because of the price, because of the value that it brings to the table. If you really want the best of the best, it would be the 2 Pro. I hope I'm not.
No, that makes sense. Price is a big factor. Johnny?
I would say the Air 2 only because of what Marcus said. It's got more votes because it's in more hands. So, it kind of makes sense.
And, a couple of things you guys did bring up. Even though the camera is better in the 2 Pro in almost every way, for the hobbyist, that smart photo feature in the Air 2 gets you a real nice photo without doing any work, where the Mavic 2 Pro to this day lacks even HDR photo. I mean, it has bracket photos, but for a professional to take bracket photos and do it all in Lightroom together, but for the hobbyist who doesn't really want to pull Lightroom out and do a bunch of heavy editing, the Air 2 has that smart photo feature, which is kind of like HDR and produces a real nice photo, processed and ready to go without launching it. So it has that going for it. It has the 48 megapixel, photo that you can get out of there too. And you guys didn't bring up the Mavic Air 2 has a digital zoom on it. Now, don't get me wrong, the Mavic 2 Pro in the 4K has the 2 croppings. The one cropping is about equal to like maybe a 20 millimeter, 24 millimeter field of view, and the other one is equal to about 40 millimeter field of view. So that punches it in. But I mean, you can't just move that around like you can the zoom in the Air 2. You have to choose whether you want the more cropped in lens or the the one that's wider. So I mean, it doesn't have that nice thing with the Air 2 where you could just take your finger and just or the thumb and precisely zoom it in. So again, they may not be things that the professional is looking for, but I think it's a very consumer, oriented feature that a lot of people like. Am I wrong on that, Marcus, or right?
Spot on, Ron, and the photographer in you thinks of those kind of things, and that's a great point. But Ron, I have another question for you. How about that quad bear sensor?
Well, the quad bear sensor is about half the size of the 1 inch. The 1 inch is about half the size. So, I mean, you're still getting an improved sensor over what the Mavic Pro 1 had, or even the Mavic 2 Zoom had. So, I mean, you're getting basically the second best sensor out there in a consumer drone, next to the the 1 inch on the Mavic 2 Pro and the Autel Evo 2. But again, it still doesn't have the. I mean, I've tested them side by side almost, and it's not it's not as good as the Mavic 2 Pro, and it's not close. But
I want to throw a little wrench into the works here. Okay, understand something with DJI, and I'm gonna just try to make this real succinct here. Okay, there's such a thing, and I call it. My dad first got me to the inkling of planned obsolescence. Okay, because he's talking about his Ford and having to get a new car and everything. And talking about how they the marketing and how they do that. And he first gave me a clue as to how this happens. DJI is probably one of the best, if not the best, companies in the world with the way they market their products. Okay, bar none. Okay, because what they'll do is this, and Marcus has said this a lot, and I agree with him. Okay, they will get you to want a feature you never know you wanted on a drone. Okay, for instance, with the Mavic 3 coming out. Okay, they'll have some kind of bell or whistle on it we haven't even begun to thought of. It's like, wow, why didn't I think of that? Okay, Frank Wang has molded this, crafted this company into the best consumer drone company in the world, and there's a reason. Okay, there's brains behind this. Okay, and it takes that kind of thing. For example, here, okay, the Mavic 2 Pro, say for like argument's sake, say those features that are on the Mavic Air 2, they could have really spent a lot of time and effort and either maybe had done a software tweak for something like this, or maybe had a Mavic 2.5 or something come out. But you know what? They had the Mavic 3 on the drawing board. They said, you know what? We're just going to kind of leave it status quo. That Mavic Air 2 is going to be a bellwether for the company for a while. And then when that Mavic 3 comes out, it will be, it's like Marcus said, there's going to be a feature or features on it we never knew that we needed, that we will absolutely have to say when we all get together, I got to get that drone, and I got to get it.
Marcus, before you talk, what is a feature? What is a feature that you might want that you don't know you want?
Well, so you just led me right into what I was just going to ask Ron Brown about then, because that's exactly what I'm saying. So we all know of the kind of public friction between Skydio and DJI. They go back and forth on Twitter. Now, what does Skydio do better than DJI? Well, of course, it's that autonomous flight and the fact that the drone. So I'm willing to bet, and a feature that I would think would be so cool. I'll bet you that DJI is going to put such a high-powered processor in that drone. And the new processors that are coming out now can run on low power, but still have more computing power available. I guarantee you they are going to have three-dimensional obstacle avoidance. It may not be the optical kind like Skydio uses, but I'll bet you it'll be every bit as good as what Skydio is right now.
Yeah, good point.
That would be a feature, Johnny, to answer your question. That would be a feature that I'd melt my credit card so fast buying that thing.
So they gonna beat them with speed.
And then on top of that, where they could really do better than Skydio is if it has OcuSync 3. Just think about this, guys. Think about if you took that drone and you're out in the middle of the forest and you got the controller and you could fly that through the trees and so forth and never worry about hitting a branch or hitting anything.
And never lose connection because you're behind a bunch of trees.
Yeah, and that's my point. That it has OcuSync and has the power to punch through that stuff. So anyway,
Marcus,
rant.
Marcus makes a great point. Even though I don't know if the Skydio got any votes now, but and Skydio overall isn't even close to being the Mavic 2 Pro. But what it does have for it is obstacle avoidance. It's the best, and it's probably not even close. And number two, tracking. It's probably the best tracking. I mean, it's close. I mean, the Mavic 2 Pro can give it a run, but would you agree with me that it's the
it is the best.
But tracking it may be the best in that category too.
Yeah. The Skydio tracking, there's no question, it's the best. Like I said, with the Mavic 2 Pro right now, it'll do a great job, but you have to put it in low speed mode. It will not do it in a high speed mode. Where the Skydio, it doesn't care how fast you're going. But you just know that DJI doesn't want to be second to anybody. And you know that thing is going to have lots of brain power and sensors to match. And I'll bet it'll be.
You mentioned Skydio. I mean, they're probably even behind the Evo 2 as far as sensors and obstacle avoidance at this point.
The Evo 2, yeah. If you go back and look at Ken Dono's comparison with the Skydio, yeah, the Evo 2.
I mean, it's probably closer to the Skydio than the Mavic 2 Pro.
There's no question. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Ron.
Yeah. So I mean,
you like Evo 2, right? I mean, you like the Evo 2 a lot, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, I have, I'm one of these people. I don't fly around a lot of objects. I mean, the Skydio I do on purpose, but like the Mavic 2 Pro and the Evo 2 Pro, I'm trying to get footage. I'm not trying to see how close I can get to something. I'm lucky. I don't think I've been in a situation either one where it saved my bacon when I wasn't looking or whatever. But I mean, they're both, when I take them off near me, they both see everything in sight or whatever. Yeah, I mean that the Evo 2 it can kind of pushes. It's the only one that pushes the Mavic 2 Pro on the kind of the camera side and the low light side of things.
No question.
Marcus, you saw Lauren's comment. He said he's thinking Skydio is moving toward the more commercial end.
Yeah,
and they kind of announced that a while back. Yeah.
One of the things I found out this week, guys, and this kind of blew me away. Okay, about the Sony AirPeak. Okay, now I've done a couple of segments on the show with it, and I think because people were asking me, what do you think something like that is going to cost? Okay, now I think it's called the Sony Alpha camera that goes with that.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on here when I tell you this, okay? Now I don't know the price of the drone, but the camera without a lens, $6,900.
Hey, listen, Bill, only guys like Lauren Donauer can afford stuff like that.
Well, Lauren he's a cash factory, okay? He probably prints it in his basement or something. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Sony AirPeak's out for me because I'm not going to switch camera systems. So I mean, it's out. It's a new starter for me. I'm not switching camera systems.
Well, and you realize, when you saw something like that, okay. It just screamed like it was about $30K right away. That's what I said off the top of my head. Okay. And that's a professional. Okay. That's a film crew. That's somebody that's going to be in production and for business and doing that. You're not going to find a consumer. You won't be finding a consumer taking the Sony AirPeak up. Now, what's real interesting though, is I did a little more digging. Okay. They're actually looking for people to test them, believe it or not. Okay. So it was, I dug through the website, dig, pretty deep. I put my name in. It's like, hey, why not? I'll never get it.
They send you the camera lenses for it also.
Yeah. And here's the thing for me. Okay. And this is just for me, I'm putting a $7,000 camera in a cradle and I'm locking it in there. Okay. That darn thing better stay in that cradle. Okay. No matter what maneuver I'm taking that drone through, because these are the kind of drones. Okay, let's say you're filming a car chase scene. Okay, these are the kind of drones that would be perfect for that. Okay, and these drones are not going to, you're not going to be flying them level. You're going to do this. 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 I mean, it's going to go all over the place, kind of a thing. So I was just cringing when I thought about putting a $7,000 camera in there to do that and making sure that thing stays in.
You better run down to State Farm agent and double your coverage.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. She'd have a field day with what she'd have to charge me for that. That's for sure. Wow. No thanks.
So, anyways, I guess the audience. I mean, the DroneNation fan base decided the Air 2 was the drone of the year, but it sounds like the panel split. Bill and I gone with the Mavic 2 Pro, and Johnny and Marcus gone with the Air 2. So we kind of got a split panel here.
Well, I think Johnny hit it right on the nail, right on the head when he said, the Air 2 is in so many people's hands, and of course, as a popularity contest, it's gonna win.
Well, they can have more votes, than what they had drones, kind of like the election. But anyway,
But yeah, but Bill and I cast an electoral vote.
We'll go in and tweak them, Ron. It
is in more hands, so yes, it got more votes. But actually, hey, the pros got 7 votes, and the Air's got 15. So yeah, it's probably in twice as many hands as that Pro 2. So.
But you brought up a great point, Johnny. I mean, the affordability of that drone is incredible. I mean, and I talked to my son-in-law because he was asking me between like a Mini 2 and an Air 2, and I said, there's no question. I said, don't even think about the Mini 2. He lives up in Ohio. He gets 30-mile-an-hour winds, that kind of thing. And I told him, I said, don't even think about the Mini 2. He said, well, it has this. I said, yeah. I said, but spend the $300 more, okay? Right. You will not be disappointed. I said, even if you get the basic package, okay, you're not going to be disappointed. You can always buy another battery or 2 down the road. Get yourself, go out and get a decent case and not get the stuff that no disrespect intended, but come on, those cases that DJI sends, seriously. I mean, wow. I got lots to say about that, and not a lot of it's good. So, but no, spend the $7.99. Get something. I mean, it's going to shoot great video right off. I mean, you can literally just fire the battery up, do the firmware update, okay, compass calibration, boom, get that thing up in the air, and it's rocking for you, and you're going to get great video. I mean, right out of the gate with something like that.
I said for a while, the distance between the Mini 2 and the Air 2, the performance gap is wider in that price bucket than it is between the Air 2 and the Mavic 2 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
Agree with 100%, Ron. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's not to knock the Mini 2. Like the Mini 2, like if you were a Mavic 2 Pro owner and you wanted something smaller just to kind of like as your kind of park flyer, casual flyer, the Mini 2 would be perfect to pair with that being your 2 drones. You had like your kind of more professional, then you had your your more casual drone.
Here's what the Mini 2 brings to the table more than anything else. And that is that it is so unobtrusive. You can fly, you can be comfortable flying that drone places that you're not so comfortable flying a bigger drone. It's quieter, it's smaller. You can and it still takes phenomenal video with that 4K camera on it. So
Marcus, yesterday I was flying the Mini 2, and I went through 2 batteries just playing around, and then I flew the Mini, and it's like the second time I flew the original Mini in a row that I was only maybe 1,000 or I don't know, not even that feet out, and I lost transmission. And it's happened very recently. So is anybody been getting that lately, or maybe it's just flying?
Johnny has all of this, I haven't been able to get out and fly, but I've been reading the stuff on DroneNation, other groups, Bill the Drone Reviewer, some of the other great Facebook groups, about people having all sorts of trouble with these app updates. Like on iOS, it went from 1.2.4 and 1.2.5. And then
this is the original Mini, but the new, OcuSync makes that so good.
Pardon, Johnny?
I said, this is with the original Mini, but because the OcuSync on the Mini 2 is unbelievable. It's
the point that I think Ron was making, Johnny, was that those recent upgrades to the Fly app, may have affected that.
Absolutely, yeah. We thought, there's been a lot of updates, kind of like back to back to back. Seemed like
I figured somebody has the Mini 1, and they said you know, this is even before this stuff that's all come out recently, that some of the updates have kind of made the Mini 1 like unreliable now. So I've read that in the past, you know.
Well, you know, when I would fly, you know the problems I had with the FEMI, okay, flying towards that end of the lake where I get disconnected signal all the time. I mean, it's just like, you know, I do that. Well, a lot of times with the Mini, the original Mini, I would get that, okay. It would disconnect and automatically kick back and start coming back home, you know, because, you know, there's some kind of interference there. And, you know, and Wi-Fi is good. Wi-Fi is good with a very limited range. Okay. You have to understand that. Okay. You're not going to get what you should with a Wi-Fi. However, OcuSync, okay, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It really is. I mean, you know, because and here's the thing, and this is why, you know, I don't mean to be, I won't say picking on Rick, but talking about Rick is having that electrical engineering background. Okay, it gives you a greater perspective on why things work the way they do. Why OcuSync is better than, say, you know, the original light bridge that was on the Phantoms. Okay, what they first came out with. All right, and why it's better than Wi-Fi that was on, you know, the Spark, and it was on the original Mini and on the original Air. Okay, why it's better. Okay, and you know, and he's explained it before, and I absolutely love it because, you know, he's laying it out. He's, you know, showing scientifically and physics wise why those work better. Okay, and it just makes sense. It really does. You know, I
agree with OcuSync. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, yeah.
And no, Rick did not pay me to say that, by the way.
He's got a Drone Valley T-shirt.
Hey, I want to touch on this real quick. You know, I don't know if I can get up. Maybe I can. Did you guys see there was a new leaked photo of the DJI FPV drone popped up today on all the social media sites?
Hey, let me ask you, I saw that. What was the first thing I noticed, Ron, is, you know, all those rumors about the pistol grip controller. It looked like it had a traditional kind of like game controller.
Okay.
Yeah. But let me tell you, 78 miles an hour, I'm in. High speed, baby. Bill, just think how fast you could get across that lake.
Oh my gosh. Well, see, and here's the thing for me, okay? My flying days from home will be over after I move because I've done some digging. And I think I told Johnny a little bit about this too, is where I'm moving to, it looks like the bylaws state that the only ones that can fly drone there are the management company for video inspections and filming the community for purposes or whatnot. But you know what I'm thinking about doing? I'm thinking about knocking on their door. I said, you know what? I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. Well, I know what I'm doing. Okay, I'll put that in quotes. But, you know, I know what I'm doing, you know, and I can get you a better rate than anybody else, okay? Because, look, let's face it, okay? They're not going to be looking to put up an Inspire 2 to film the community, okay? A Mavic 2 Pro or a Phantom 4 Pro will do the job just fine. But here's the thing. Here's another thing, okay? And I know Michael Wright likes it because he's an architect, okay? Having that mechanical shutter, and I agree. But there's one Achilles heel with the Phantom 4 series. It rears its ugly head every single time I fly, and you got to keep that under like 15 or 16 miles an hour, because if you don't, props are in the shots. I don't care what you say, okay? And that's the Achilles heel on that drone. It just. But you know what? I can say this: almost every single video I've ever shot with a Mavic 2 Pro, I don't have props in the shots almost every single time. Okay. And that's why you could go and I could do something like that in the community, you know, go up there. So, you know, in other words, is that your Mavic 2 Pro? Oh, it grew a little bit.
So Bill, is that a subdivision restriction or city restriction?
Well, I think it's a subdivision restriction. It's a planned community. So, and it's in their bylaws.
Well, they can't do that. That's against the FAA.
No, they can tell you not to take off.
You can take off across the street and fly over.
You could, right? But sure, what Bill would want to do is go out to the common area and launch his drone and they have every right to tell you can't take off there.
Bill, if you get kicked out, I'll just sell you another house. I'll get you. You know.
That works. Hey, Geek Spada, Bill's got a comment for you.
Is there a famous YouTuber exemption, Bill? That's a good question. That's a real good question.
Just tell him you know Geek Spada. He said if we get OcuSync 3, it's gonna be 1 million more long range tests. I don't think Sean likes the long range test reviews.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as these, the new regulations encroach on us, I think you'll see less and less range testing as the years go by.
Yeah.
So the big thing will be OcuSync 3 for me will be better transmission signal through trees and buildings and whatever, not going any further.
That's the number one thing that I see in my groups. Okay, that I will cut people at their knees when they start posting these videos about going out and doing these long range, not only talking about it, but having a video to go with it. I'll cut them off at the knees. It just, and it's just like, why? People, I'll get nasty messages. And I said, look, one of the things that you agreed to when you joined this group were the rules. Okay. And part of that, I post a link to the FAA part 107 and drone rules. Okay. And it's in there. It's spelled crystal clear. I was
just going to say, Sean brought up remote ID may take care of some of that. So,
yeah.
Right. And if they see how far you're going and just mailing you the fine for going over a certain distance or whatever, that'll stop. And plus, I don't, they should work together with the drone companies and maybe governor, I'm not saying they should, but they could work with the drone companies to govern how far the thing will go, unless you apply for a waiver that would let you go further, and then it could be all locked in the drone.
Well, here's the thing for me with this, okay, with all this kind of stuff, okay, with remote ID, somebody will be watching, okay, that, all right? And here's the other thing. If the government can tax it, they will tax it, okay? So, if you fly over 1,000 feet, here's the tax you have to pay. If you fly over 1,500, if you fly over 2,000, and then if there's a certain point, if you fly over it, it's a fine, okay? So, yeah. So, it's like, could it get there? I don't know. Who knows?
Hey, Bill, if that's the case, can I introduce you to my new channel?
What's that?
Idaho RC Cars.
Corvettes.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, Ridge Flyer 32 saying Dustin, he means Dustin Dunnell, had a beauty range test last week. The Mini 2 didn't make it back. I missed that one, guys.
Oh, I didn't see that either.
We're not encouraging this type of stuff or whatever now, don't mind you.
Yeah, so Dustin, when he took the Mini 2 out and he didn't quite make it back, and he didn't recover the drone. He landed it in a cow pasture, essentially, and he pushed it, over 4 miles.
He had a Mini 1 battery in it.
Yeah, and he had the Mini 1 battery in it. That is correct. So one of the here's the issue that I hope gets resolved at some point. And the rumors are I'm hearing that this could become reality, is that you will be able to get beyond visual line of sight waivers easier so that you can fly. And I'm not saying flying 5 miles, but I'm saying, hey, if you're flying out a kilometer and a half or something like that, hey, that's, if there's another aircraft in the air, you're going to hear it and you'll be able to take whatever action you need to do. So anyway, hopefully that is something that will come out of the new regs.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Leonard, he said, just tells Marcus, just keep those RC cars under 400 APL. Because those guys have ramps in those RC car videos. You could get a lot of air on one of those ramps. Maybe you could go airborne enough to get the attention of the FAA.
Yeah, yeah.
He could jump. He
Oh,
could
I
jump.
wanted to give. I still had some people asking me some questions, and I know Ron did last week too. People probably knew my younger son had COVID-19. He's back to work. I'm just really thankful that he's 26. Okay, he's pretty freaking resilient. So, but I bought him some vitamins and supplements, and he's still taking them faithfully. And my older son tested negative because they live together in the same apartment. That's the one thing that I was more concerned about my older son because he's had some pretty good asthma issues and things like that. So, and I made sure he's taken vitamins and supplements as well. So, but yeah, I want to thank everybody for your thoughts, well wishes, prayers. Really appreciate that a lot. But it's really good to hear that. Okay, that was I needed to hear some good news after my dentist visit last week. Oh. That was bad. That was really bad.
It's good news, to hear that about your son, and so that's good. And we hope your dentist got all your issues behind you now.
Oh, he's well, he's going to be a very rich man. Let me put you that way. Very, very rich.
Oh boy,
yeah, not good.
And John, you got some good news. You've got the COVID shot recently, right?
I did. I got it Friday.
Both of them?
No. I have a third.
One in each arm. One in each arm, Johnny.
Huh? Yeah. That was what they ought to do. You got to wait. I have to wait 30 days for the second. Yeah.
Yeah. My wife actually goes in for her second injection this weekend. So because she's a teacher, she was able to get that. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, boy, the sooner we can all get that taken care of, the better it'll be for everybody.
Yeah, they starting to roll in pretty good now. Seems like. I mean, but what's funny, the police and firemen here, the first responders have not got those shots yet.
That's unusual.
Okay.
My daughter has. She's a nurse practitioner, but the state workers, but not down at the level.
I'm going to wrap this show up. Bill's got to work tomorrow. We've kept him on the show for almost an hour and a half, but I want to thank him for coming on, giving us his Super Bowl report, and giving his expertise on the greatest drone of all time. I guess the people spoke. They said it was the Air 2, but I don't know. Bill and I may have made a couple of electoral votes here to get the Mavic 2 Pro back in the running.
Well, I want the Zino 2 Pro plus in the running.
Is that
it's going to come out next week.
Is that the EXO version?
That's the EXO version. 4 batteries, $799.
Hey,
it'll take 60. It'll take between 60 to 90 days to get here.
One quick note before we let you go, Bill. Any secret news you could share us on that Phoebe Mini drone?
The last I heard, because I pinged my contact with Phoebe, and she was telling me that we're going to hear something probably around April timeframe. So I got my ears to the ground with that. So, and I look in the other Phoebe groups as well that I'm a member of, and there hasn't been any other news other than that. So, and they kind of concur with what I've heard is it's going to be April timeframe before we hear something as far as that's concerned. So crossing my fingers on that. Now, the bad news about that, guess who the lead distributor is going to be for it?
I wonder.
Oh, yeah. You got
three
guesses, and the first 2 don't count, okay?
Well, here's the thing, Bill. I got a hold of Phoebe as well, just like you did. And what they told me, I just flat out asked them for a review unit, right? I said, send me one and I'll do a review on it. They said, the clue to me was, they said, there'll be review units, Marcus, but talk to your Banggood rep.
That's what I got. The same email. Because I did the same thing. I said, I got all the reviews of the Femi X8 SE, and they said, that's great. We love them. Good job. I said, you need to talk to your Banggood rep to get one. And I'm like,
Well, Marcus, wasn't you the last one to get the Zino 2 from Banggood, or one of the last ones?
Yeah, sure.
Red in America.
Yeah, sure seemed like it.
Well, we did. I hung in there and waited, and yeah, I know you did too. But yeah, but a lot of people got it before we did, and we ordered, I think, just a few days apart.
Yeah, yeah.
And Bill asked people to get the Hubsan Zino 2 in, right, in America.
Yeah.
actually, today I got an email from, I think, AliExpress. The FIMI SE 2020 is reduced to like $349, I think it was, and that's
kind of pretty cheap too. They're kind of giving that one away pretty cheap. Yeah, and they
got to clear out the space for the mini, the mini 2s. I mean, the FIMI Mini's probably going to be there. You know, they're making or breaking drone or whatever.
Yeah, listen to be perfectly straight with you, $350 is probably an appropriate price.
I agree.
The X8 SE.
I agree.
Yeah.
And well, you know, and I think Marcus, you brought this up, and I agree with you 100%. For that Mini, the FIMI Mini, okay, you got to be like around $299 for something like that. I mean, that's a must, because if not, you're pricing yourself out of the market, out of competition. People will pass that up all day long to get the Mini too.
Right.
Unless it brings something to the table that the DJI Minis don't have, like maybe, I don't know, maybe it has obstacle avoidance or something.
Maybe it's got a level horizon.
Maybe 8K, you know.
Wouldn't that be refreshing, Johnny? Wouldn't that be?
It would be absolutely. Yeah, since you know, I'm gonna crash this C-Fly into the ground listening to y'all, but that's okay.
Yeah. So Bill Thomas keeps bringing up the C-Fly Faith, and he wants to point out that it is $300, $299.99. So
yeah, so we you know, Bill got to fly a little bit last week before we went on Mikey's show, but I don't think he had the camera settings yet. I think they came out the next day. But again, anybody that wants to see a little bit more, go over see Air Photography's review. He does a pretty good level review. He was sent the drone, you know, was sent to him, but you know, again, he didn't have a good experience. I won't ruin it outside saying he didn't have the best experience with it. Again, he even mentioned.
I think Bill's put a couple videos since then. Yeah, he just said. I think he did actually.
Well, I can't wait to see that, Ron. I didn't know that Sean had one. I will go over there and look at that.
Yeah. I don't have the link here, but Air Photography, you can't miss him. He has like 200,000 subscribers. He's one of the big guys out there. He gets sent everything. Even Apple sends him stuff.
Yeah, you got to put Koopy's comment up, Ron.
Yeah.
It's a leap of faith, all right.
I hope Tracy doesn't see that, Marcus.
Pardon me?
Oh, Tracy doesn't see that.
Yeah.
Tracy from over at C-Fly.
Yeah. Yeah. John and I both have experience with the C-Fly Faith 1, which is either the JJRC X12 or the Eachine EX4, same drone. You know, watching some of those reviews of the C-Fly Faith 2, it was like deja vu all over again. You can't calibrate the compass. Half of the features are wonky on it, and you can't get them to work. And yeah, anyway.
And folks, I'm not trying to slam it, because when I saw the feature sets on it, I was wanting to like the Faith.
Oh, me too. No, Ron, I agree.
Feature set, it had a great price point, and
the camera is way better than the original C-Fly Faith. Way better.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully they can, through app updates and firmware updates, they can get that thing, you know, flying respected. Because, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but when Air Photography, when he took it off, Marcus, you used to always complain about your Zino 1 drifting and wandering around. You talk about, wait until you see this thing. I mean, it makes the Zino 1 look like it's the Mavic 2 Pro out there. The way it was covered all around. I mean, he was afraid to fly it again after that long. It was
he didn't even pay for it.
When Johnny tried to land the Hubsan Zino 2, and it was all over the place, and then it wouldn't turn off.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember that. Hey, the Zino 2's actually gotten a lot better, I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a couple of them. And, you know, actually, truthfully, the Zino 2, I like that drone now. I like it. In fact, I like the Zino 2 better than the FIMI X8 SE.
Oh. What's up, Bill? I don't want to get the poop thrown at me.
Yeah.
I sold my Femi and kept the Zino too. Yeah, I agree, Marcus.
Yeah.
So, well, anyhow, on that note, we will say we've already thanked Bill for being on. Want to thank Johnny for coming on. Johnny does the best job of handling the polls and the voting. Marcus, again, he's the MVP over at this show. Forget Brady. Marcus is our MVP around here. And, thanks for everybody out there being a part of the polls, voting over at the DroneNation Facebook group. And don't forget, Bill's got a live show tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bill, you got any hot topics or stuff or guests?
Well, yeah, I kind of got a hot topic, and we're going to spend some time on it tomorrow night. It's going to be alternate social media sites. Okay. We're going to talk about, and I'm going to give some people some clues as to what's going on with that, because, it's like, I'm not political at all, but I will say this, if I want to get a video out there, I don't want it yanked down because I put a wrong word in it or something, and the same thing with, somebody saying something in one of the groups, so we're going to spend some time talking about that. And I'm going to show people what I've been doing, because a lot, I have been packing, but one of the other things I've been doing is I've been doing a lot of groundwork, and I'm going to show some of the results of that tomorrow night. So you want to stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting episode, and I'm going to kind of point you in the direction of what I think is probably going to be a good alternative to something like Facebook and a good alternative to YouTube. So definitely stick around tomorrow night. We're going to have some good discussion about that.
Thanks, Bill. And Johnny, you've got a Showtime change announcement you want to make, don't you?
Yeah, we're going to have our last Sunday show this Sunday at 3 p.m. And we're going to swap over till Wednesday night, of course, before Coast to Coast Drones at 6 p.m. Central. That Sunday spot is a little tough to, make a dedication to every Sunday afternoon at 3. And so I think we'll have a little time frame in there to get in before the Coast to Coast Drones. And because I think we'll, help each other out possibly. And yeah, we had a great turnout yesterday, and hey, great turnout tonight, guys. Y'all have, it's an incredible crowd, and lots of good comments in the chat there. Yeah. So hey, yeah.
And when will that time change start?
The 24th.
The 24th. Okay. You're going to do a couple more shows on Sunday.
We have one more show this Sunday, and then we'll swap over to the 24th.
Okay. Good. Well, who knows? Maybe when I'm in Florida, maybe I can join maybe Ray for be on your show live. I mean, real live.
Yeah.
Captain.
Well, Captain is, Captain does a great job. He'll text me and say, hey, I got so-and-so for this week. And I hardly, he does all the inviting. And, he actually, yesterday, I thought we was going to have Tom Brady on, but he couldn't pull it off.
Well, we can still work on him. Maybe we'll get him down to the.
I told him he could, skip him and grab his wife to be on, but that didn't work out either. So
yeah. And Marcus has a big. He's making an appearance on a big time show this week, aren't you, Marcus? Drone.
Yeah. So I don't know. I would let him announce that, Ron.
Okay. I'm sorry. We're DNA, folks.
Yeah.
But keep your eye out. You may see Marcus pop up someplace you don't expect him to this week. And don't forget the Philly and Ron show right after Bill's show tomorrow night. And then this week on Coast to Coast Drones, I'm doing the Part 107 show with Bill and the gang. So join that one too. And don't forget Art on Saturday, and Lloyd the Mendenhall, the Grumpy Vlogger. His show returned tonight. He was on. So
he did, yeah, sure did.
Next Monday night with another live show. His Judy's been a little. She's had a stroke and so on, so she's been a little down. But he did get back to streaming this week, so we're getting things back to normal here. So everybody out there, thanks for joining the show. Thanks for the comments, the support. Thanks for support all these guys' shows, not just ours. We're all community. We're all working together, trying to get this information out, helping each other. And so everybody stay safe. Prayers for Marcus's father. He's still waiting to get his surgery. So, and prayers for Bill's son's continued return to health with the COVID. And we'll see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bill the Drone Reviewer.
Bye-bye.